Jennifer Garner's life has always unfolded in the public eye. From her breakout role in Alias to her reputation as one of Hollywood's most grounded and relatable stars, she has long been admired not just for her talent, but for her warmth, humility, and devotion to family. Yet behind the carefully curated red carpets and smiling photographs was a deeply personal story of love, heartbreak, and resilience, one that resonated far beyond celebrity headlines. Jennifer Garner's divorce from Ben Affleck was not just another Hollywood split. It was the end of a relationship that many people believed symbolized stability in an industry known for its fleeting romances. Their marriage, which began in 2005, produced 3 children and spanned over a decade of shared life, challenges, and growth. When they announced their separation in 2015, the news sent shockwaves through fans who had watched their family evolve over the years. For Garner, the end of the marriage marked the beginning of one of the most emotionally demanding chapters of her life. Divorce is never easy, but navigating it under constant public scrutiny adds a layer of complexity few people can truly understand. Every walk to the car, every school pickup, every quiet moment of vulnerability became potential tabloid fodder. The pressure to appear composed, gracious, and unaffected was relentless. Yet behind the scenes, Jennifer Garner was grappling with the same emotions that millions of people experience during the dissolution of a long-term partnership: grief, confusion, fear, and the daunting task of redefining her identity. What made this period particularly challenging was that the divorce wasn't simply about 2 adults going their separate ways. It was about a family restructuring itself in real time. Garner has often spoken about how deeply she values stability and routine, especially for her children. As a mother, her primary concern was ensuring that her kids felt safe, loved, and supported even as their world was changing. In interviews over the years, Garner has been candid about how painful the process was. She didn't shy away from admitting that the end of the marriage felt like a loss she had to mourn. Not just the loss of a partner, but the loss of a shared future she once imagined. She spoke openly about the difficulty of letting go of expectations, of accepting that love can exist alongside disappointment, and that endings don't always come with clear villains or simple explanations. One of the most striking aspects of Jennifer Garner's approach to divorce was her refusal to engage in public bitterness. Despite intense media speculation and scrutiny surrounding Ben Affleck's personal struggles, Garner consistently chose compassion over blame. This wasn't about ignoring pain or pretending everything was fine. It was about protecting her children and honoring the complexity of real human relationships. Co-parenting became a central focus of her life. Garner and Affleck worked intentionally to maintain a united front for their kids, prioritizing birthdays, holidays, school events, and everyday routines. She has described this effort not as easy, but as necessary. It required maturity, patience, and a willingness to put ego aside. In doing so, she modeled a version of divorce that emphasized responsibility rather than resentment. Emotionally, however, the journey was anything but smooth. Garner has acknowledged moments of deep sadness and exhaustion. There were times when the weight of single parenting, career demands, and emotional healing felt overwhelming. She spoke about the importance of allowing herself to feel those emotions rather than suppressing them. For someone accustomed to being seen as strong and capable, admitting vulnerability was its own act of courage. During this period, she leaned heavily on her support system: close friends, family members, and trusted confidants, who provided stability when everything else felt uncertain. Garner has emphasized that healing doesn't happen in isolation. Asking for help, she learned, is not a sign of weakness, but a necessary step toward recovery. As the legal process moved forward, and the divorce was finalized in 2018, Jennifer Garner began to shift her focus inward. Instead of defining herself by what had ended, she started asking what could begin. This mindset didn't emerge overnight. It was the result of years of reflection, therapy, and intentional self-care. She rediscovered comfort in the simple, grounding aspects of life: spending time outdoors, cooking for her children, engaging in charitable work, and returning to creative projects that brought her joy. These moments weren't grand gestures of reinvention, but small, consistent choices that helped rebuild a sense of peace. Garner has often spoken about the importance of self-compassion during this time. She learned to release the pressure to have everything figured out immediately. Healing, she realized, is not linear. Some days feel hopeful and empowering, others bring unexpected waves of grief. Accepting that reality allowed her to move forward without self-judgment. One of the most powerful lessons to emerge from her experience was the idea that divorce does not have to define a person's worth or future. In a culture that often frames divorce as failure, Garner offered a quieter, more nuanced perspective. Sometimes, relationships end not because love was absent, but because growth demanded change. She also addressed the myth of perfection, especially for women in the public eye. For years, she felt the unspoken expectation to hold everything together effortlessly. The divorce forced her to confront the truth that strength does not mean silence. Strength can mean honesty, tears, and asking for support when the load becomes too heavy. Over time, Jennifer Garner's story evolved from one of heartbreak to one of resilience. She emerged with a deeper understanding of herself, her values, and her priorities. Her relationship with her children grew even stronger, rooted in transparency, trust, and unconditional love. Professionally, she continued to choose projects that aligned with her sense of purpose rather than external expectations. Perhaps the most resonant message from Garner's journey is her embrace of vulnerability. She has spoken about learning to sit with discomfort instead of rushing past it, to acknowledge pain without allowing it to harden her. This approach transformed her divorce from a defining trauma into a catalyst for personal growth. Her experience reminds us that endings are rarely clean or simple, but they can still lead to renewal. Divorce, while painful, can open the door to self-discovery, emotional maturity, and a reimagined future. Garner's story is not about blame or regret, it's about acceptance, accountability, and hope. In sharing her journey, Jennifer Garner has given others permission to be human in their hardest moments. She has shown that grace is not the absence of struggle, but the willingness to face it with honesty and compassion. Her story resonates not because she is a celebrity, but because her emotions, fears, and triumphs are deeply relatable. Ultimately, Jennifer Garner's divorce teaches us that resilience is built one day at a time, that healing requires patience, and that even when life doesn't unfold the way we planned, it can still lead us exactly where we need to be. Her journey stands as a quiet reminder that growth often begins where certainty ends, and that within vulnerability lies profound strength. Thanks for the watching and subscribe.